Cabinets of Curiosities became a form of storytelling. There was such a belief that you could accumulate sort of samples and pieces of the world's knowledge and the world's most interesting things under one roof.
Yes.
You know, and there is a beautiful magical will there. To me, the most fascinating collection is William Beckford, who wrote one of the great Gothic novels, Vathek, and he created his own magical world, Fonthill Abbey, where he created an extravagant architectural wonder and filled it with everything that he could buy from everywhere in the world. He had obviously specimens from nature, freaks, pickled punks, animals, dissected animals, stuffed animals, paintings, maps. It's a place I dream of,
Yeah.
and actually a place I sort of patterned my house
Yes.
after. You know, it's not. I'm not as opulent as Beckford. He was a very rich heir, but I do. Every time a check arrives, half of it goes immediately to my wife, and I say, "Do not let me touch it," and I then say, "Don't ask me anything about the other half."
You know, I think what's interesting about Cabinets of Wonder, Cabinets of Curiosity, is that they were, in a sense, scientific. They were gathering specimens, but of all kinds. But they were also cabinets of wonder. So it was science as wonder, and it brings those two sides together.
And they were full of
which got
fakes, by the way.
separated later, I think.
They were full of fabrications, because I think that there is a moment in which man tries to distinguish the rift between science and myth.
Yes.
And the Cabinets of Curiosity still embrace the fact that there shouldn't be any rift.
Right.
And I do think that the narrative of science, the one that has made us cross the oceans, climb the mountains, and go to the moon, has a bit of fancy. You know, when we make science boring and we say science denies every other possibility, when science becomes a medicine for the ill mind and it tries to stop us from imagining, I find it sad, because science made us dream. You know, and when I was a kid, I was there when the first man landed on the moon. I was a kid, and we dreamt. And it was Jules Verne,
Yes.
partially, that got us to the moon.
Absolutely.
And it was Ray Harryhausen that got us to the moon.
Yes.
And we
Ezra
cannot
Bonestell.
stop that frontier, and we have to know that within science there is poetry.
Yes.
And if we lose that, I think it's urgent that we have such wonders right now. We have basically in our back pocket a more advanced communication device than the tricorder in Star Trek.
Yes.
100 times more powerful than any computer in 1960, 70. You know, like you really have the NASA and the CIA together have nothing on one app in the iPhone. And yet, I think that the one urgent thing we have to have is feed our curiosity. And for that, I think collecting is a testament to that. In movies, collecting came from the fact that before movies were downloadable and easily available, they became an almost religious act. They had an ephemeral nature, and you knew that if you didn't catch that movie at that time, the only way you could recreate the experience was if you bought the soundtrack on an LP, if you had the poster or the lobby card, or if you read about it in magazines that were fetishistic about it, like Famous Monsters of Filmland. So that became our iconography in the religious sense. And collecting about memorability and movies, it was a way to reconnect with that moment.